Yesterday, we celebrated. We told the world that the banks had finally surrendered. We told you that the price manipulation was over. But today, the phone lines went dead. The spot price of silver is sitting at $65. It held the line. It did not crash. On paper, you are richer than you have ever been. But try to spend it. Try to take that $65 and buy an ounce of physical silver right now. I dare you. Go to the biggest wholesalers in North America. Call the refineries in Switzerland. Call the mints in Australia. Do you know what you are going to hear? You are going to hear a dial tone, or you are going to hear a recorded message saying, "Due to extreme market volatility, we are currently not accepting new orders." We warned you about this. We told you that when the price finally broke the commercial suppression, it would not be a smooth ride to the moon. We told you it would break the machine. Well, the machine is broken. What we are witnessing right now at $65 is not a supply shortage. It is a liquidity nightmare. The supply chain for physical silver has snapped. Refineries are halting orders. Wholesalers are canceling trades that were locked in yesterday. The United States Mint is reportedly on indefinite allocation. Why? Because the price went up too fast. It sounds insane, does it not? You would think high prices would bring more supply to the market. That is how Economics 101 works. High prices incentivize sellers. But the silver market is not Economics 101. It is a leverage-filled house of cards. And at $65, the hedging mechanism that allows refineries to operate has turned into a suicide pact. In this video, which might be the most important warning I ever issue, I am going to explain exactly why the supply chain has frozen. I am going to walk you through the refiner's trap. I am going to show you why having fiat currency in your hand right now is the most dangerous position to be in. And I am going to explain why $65 is not the price. It is the last known coordinate of a ship that just vanished from the radar. If you are waiting for a pullback to buy, you are already dead in the water. The window did not close. It was bricked over. This is the nightmare scenario. Let us define the situation on the ground right now, December 11th, 2025. Usually, a market has two sides: a bid, what people are willing to pay, and an ask, what sellers are willing to take. When these two meet, you have a trade. You have liquidity. But as of this morning, the silver market has gone bid only. There are millions of people waving cash trying to buy at $65 or $70 or even $80, but there is no ask. The sellers have left the building. I received a report this morning from a major contact at one of the largest precious metals distributors in Texas. This is a company that moves millions of ounces a month. He told me, quote, "We have ceased all sales. Our hedging line with the bullion bank is maxed out. We cannot replace the metal we sell, so we are closing the website until further notice." End quote. Think about that. They are in the business of selling silver. Silver is at an all-time high, and they are refusing to sell. Why? Because of replacement risk. Imagine you are a dealer. You have a monster box of silver eagles on your shelf. You bought it 3 months ago when silver was $30. Today, silver is $65. You could sell it and make a massive profit, right? Wrong. Because if you sell that box today for $65 an ounce, you have cash. But tomorrow, if silver goes to $70 or $80 or $100, you have to take that cash and buy new inventory to restock your shelf. But if the price is rising faster than you can restock, you go out of business. You sold an asset that is appreciating for a currency that is crashing. So the smart dealers, the ones who survived 1980 and 2011, have realized the trap. They are hoarding their own inventory. They are betting that the metal is worth more than the margin. This creates a liquidity vacuum. The metal exists. It is sitting in vaults. It is sitting in safes, but it is not available. It has moved from inventory to strategic reserve, and this is trickling down to you. If you go to the major websites right now, you might see pre-order buttons. Expected ship date, February 2026. Do not click that button. That is an unsecured loan you are giving to a dealer who does not have the metal. At $65, the physical link has been severed. And the reason starts at the very top of the food chain, the refineries. This is the technical part. You need to understand this to understand why $65 broke the system. Most people think a refinery like Heraeus or Valcambi is a speculator. They think refiners love high prices. They do not. Refiners hate volatility. Here is how the business works. A refinery buys raw door bars from a mine. Let us say they buy 1 million ounces. It takes time to refine that silver. Maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month. The refinery is terrified that the price of silver will drop while they are refining it. If they buy at $65 and it drops to $50, they lose millions. So how do they protect themselves? They use the futures market. The moment they buy the physical ore, they go onto the COMEX and short an equivalent amount of paper silver. If they hold 1 million ounces of physical, they sell 1 million ounces of paper. This is called a perfect hedge. If silver price goes down, they lose money on the physical, but make money on the short. If silver price goes up, they make money on the physical, but lose money on the short. They are delta neutral. They just want to make money on the refining fee, not the price movement. This system works great when silver moves 10 cents a day. It works okay when silver moves 50 cents a day. But what happens when silver moves $2.50 in a day and then another $4 the next morning? The margin call. The refinery holds the physical metal, but that metal is sitting in a furnace. It is not cash. But their short position on the COMEX is losing millions of dollars by the hour as the price spikes to $65. The exchange does not care that the refinery has physical metal. They want cash to cover the loss on the paper short. This is the nightmare. The refinery is technically solvent, but they are illiquid. So on Wednesday, December 10th, when silver ripped through $60, every major refinery in the world got a phone call from their broker. Send $50 million now, or we liquidate your position. Where does a refinery get $50 million in cash overnight? They do not. So what do? They stop buying. They stop buying raw ore from the mines because they cannot afford to put on a new hedge. And if they stop buying ore, they stop producing bars. This is why the supply chain halted. The high price blew up the hedging mechanism that allows the supply chain to function. It is a paradox. The higher the price goes, the less silver gets produced. We saw this in March 2020. We saw it in February 2021. But this is worse because in 2020, silver was $12. At $65, the capital requirements are 5 times higher. The margin calls are 5 times larger. The refineries are paralyzed. And until the volatility stops, until the price stabilizes, they will not produce a single new bar. We are looking at a global production freeze right at the moment of peak demand. So the refineries are frozen. What happens to the next layer? The wholesalers. These are the companies that buy 1,000-ounce industrial bars and melt them down into 1-ounce rounds and 10-ounce bars and coins. They are the bridge between the industrial market and you, the retail investor. When the refineries halted orders this morning, the wholesalers panicked. I spoke to a source at a major minting facility in Florida just 2 hours ago. He described the atmosphere as apocalyptic. He said, quote, "We have orders for 500,000 ounces from retail customers who bought the breakout yesterday. We took their cash, but our supplier just canceled our delivery for next week. We are short 500,000 ounces. We are technically bankrupt if we cannot source the metal." End quote. This is the dirty little secret of the bullion industry. Most of it runs on just-in-time inventory. When you buy from a website, they often don't have that specific bar. They turn around and order it from the wholesaler. The wholesaler orders it from the refiner. The chain is broken. The guy in Florida has 2 choices: refund your money You get your fiat currency back, which is losing value every second, or delay shipping using the dreaded allocation email. We are seeing option number 2 happen en masse today. If you check your email, you might see a notification stating, "Due to unprecedented demand, your order has been delayed. Estimated shipping 4 to 6 weeks." Translation: we do not have the metal. We are praying the price drops so we can find some, or we are praying the refinery opens back up. But here's the kicker. While the wholesalers are scrambling, the industrial buyers are swooping in. Tesla, Samsung, First Solar, they do not buy 1-ounce coins. They buy the 1,000-ounce bars directly from the vaults. And at $65, they are not hedging. They are stockpiling. They see the refinery freeze. They understand the mechanics I just explained to you. They know that if the refineries stop producing for a month, the solar assembly lines stop, and that cannot happen. So the industrial giants are bypassing the wholesalers. They are offering premiums that the coin shops cannot match. They are paying $70 or $75 per ounce for immediate delivery of industrial bars. This sucks the remaining liquidity out of the retail market. The wholesalers are getting outbid by the tech giants. You are competing for silver against Elon Musk. Who do you think wins that bidding war? This contagion is spreading fast. By next week, I predict that 80% of the online inventory you see today will be marked sold out. The remaining 20% will carry premiums of 50% or more. You will see spot at $65 and Silver Eagles at $100. That is not hyperbole. That is the math of a broken supply chain. Now we have to talk about the legal implications. The words you need to learn today are force majeure. It is a French term. It means superior force. In contract law, it is a clause that allows a company to walk away from a contract because of an unforeseeable event that makes performance impossible. Usually, this is reserved for wars or earthquakes or acts of God. But in the fine print of almost every bullion dealer and futures exchange, market dislocation or extreme volatility is listed as a valid reason for force majeure. With silver at $65 and refineries halted, we are dangerously close to force majeure declarations. What does this mean for you? If you hold unallocated silver in a pool account, if you hold SLV shares, if you hold a futures contract and the entity declares force majeure, they do not have to give you the silver. They can settle your contract in cash, and they will settle it at a price they determine. Imagine this scenario. Silver hits $100 next week. The dealer or bank declares force majeure because they cannot source the metal. They send you a check for your account value based on the closing price of December 10th, which was $65. Silver is trading at $100. You get paid $65. You lose $35 an ounce, and you lose the metal, and it is perfectly legal. This is why I have screamed from the rooftops for years, if you do not hold it, you do not own it. At $65, counterparty risk is the biggest risk you face. The system is looking for an exit hatch. Force majeure is that hatch. We are already seeing the early signs. The Shanghai Gold Exchange just raised margin requirements to 20%. The COMEX is likely to raise margins tonight. These are soft barriers. Force majeure is the hard barrier. If refineries stay closed for another week, if the margin calls are not met, you will see the first major default. It might be a small mint first, then a regional bank, but once the domino falls, the cash settlement wave begins. You do not want to be a creditor to a bankrupt bullion dealer. You want to be the owner of the physical asset. This leads us to the new reality of the market. We are witnessing a divorce. For 40 years, the spot price and the physical price were married. They moved together. Sure, there was a small premium, $2 here or $3 there, but at $65, they have filed for divorce. The spot price is becoming irrelevant. It is a number on a screen that represents a 5,000-ounce bar that might not exist, traded by high-frequency algorithms. The real price is what you can negotiate in a dark alley. It is the price a solar manufacturer pays a refiner. It is the price you pay your local coin shop. Right now, that price is closer to $80. If spot is $65 and you cannot buy below $80, what is the real price of silver? It is $80. The screen is lying. This divergence is dangerous because it tricks you. You look at the screen and see a pullback to $61. You think, oh, I will wait to buy. But the physical premium just went up by $2. So even though spot dropped, the cost to buy went up. This is called backwardation in the physical market. It means the immediate possession of the asset is valued significantly higher than the promise of the asset in the future. Why is this happening? Because trust has evaporated. Nobody trusts the COMEX to deliver. Nobody trusts the refineries to reopen quickly. Nobody trusts the dollar to hold its value. When trust vanishes, premiums explode. We saw this in Venezuela. We saw this in Zimbabwe. When the currency collapses, the price of gold and silver does not just go up, it disappears from the official market and only trades on the black market. We are not fully there yet, but halted orders at major refineries is the first step toward the black market phase. The official channels are clogging up. The unofficial channels are where the metal is moving. And if you are not plugged into the physical market right now, if you are still looking at the ticker on CNBC, you are watching a ghost. I need to have a very serious conversation with you about the empire striking back. Do not think for a second that the JP Morgans and the Federal Reserves of the world are just going to roll over and die. Do not think they will let silver go to $100 without a fight. They have lost the market war, so now they will start the regulatory war. We saw this in 1980 with the Hunt brothers. The COMEX changed the rules. They instituted liquidation-only orders. They made it illegal to buy. You could only sell. They raised margin requirements to 100%. We are going to see this again, likely within days. Here's the playbook they will use to try and break the price at $65. Tactic 1. The margin nuke. The CME Group will announce an emergency hike in margin requirements. Right now, it costs maybe $10,000 to control a contract. They will raise it to $50,000 or $100,000. They want to force the small speculators, the retail traders, out of the market. They want to force you to sell your position because you cannot afford the deposit. Tactic 2. Position limits. The Commodity Futures Trading Commission will declare a market emergency. They will say that speculators are distorting the price. They will put a cap on how many contracts any entity can hold. But, and here's the corruption, they will likely exempt the commercial hedgers, the banks. So the banks can stay short, but you cannot be long. It is a rigged game. Tactic 3. The windfall tax threat. Politicians will start going on television. They will say that hoarders are holding the green energy transition hostage. They will label silver stacking as economic terrorism or price gouging. They will propose a tax on the sale of precious metals. They will try to scare you into selling. Tactic 4. The ETF cash settlement. Watch SLV, the iShares Silver Trust. They might change their prospectus overnight. They might say, in the interest of fund stability, we are suspending the creation of new baskets. This disconnects the ETF from the physical price. The ETF might trade at $50 while silver is at $70. It traps the passive investors. You need to be prepared for these headlines. When they hit, the price might dip. Silver might drop from $65 to $55 in an hour on the news. The media will scream, "The bubble has burst. The government has stepped in." Do not fall for it. Regulations cannot print silver. Margin hikes cannot create silver. taxes cannot manufacture silver. All these tactics do is kill the paper demand. They do nothing to solve the physical shortage. In fact, they make it worse. If you tax it, people hide it. Supply vanishes further. If you ban speculation, the price discovery moves to the black market. The price of silver is not determined by the CFTC anymore. It is determined by the physical deficit. Unless the government can conjure 1.1 billion ounces out of thin air, they are powerless. They can only create volatility. They cannot change the trend. So, when the regulatory hammer drops, and it will drop, view it as a sign of their desperation. It is the death rattle of a failed system. So, despite the halted refineries, despite the coming regulations, how do we get to $100? Let us map it out. We are currently at $65. This is the breakout zone. Stage 1, the gamma squeeze, $65 to $75. This is happening right now. There are millions of call options sitting at the $65 and $70 strike prices. Market makers sold these options thinking they would never pay out. As the price rises, the market makers have to hedge. They have to buy futures to cover the options. The higher the price goes, the more they have to buy. This is called gamma. It is a self-reinforcing loop. This gamma squeeze will push us rapidly through the 60s. I expect we hit $75 within the next 10 trading days. Stage 2, the media mania, $75 to $85. At $75, silver makes the nightly news, not just CNBC, the 6 p.m. news. Silver hits record high. Grandma's silverware is worth a fortune. This brings in the public herd, the people who know nothing about deficits or JP Morgan. They just see a line going up. They raid the pawn shops, they buy the ETFs. This wave of capital is massive and dumb. It pushes the price from $75 to $85 purely on momentum. Stage 3, the industrial capitulation, $85 to $100. This is the final leg. At $85, the industrial users realize the price is not coming back down. The temporary surcharge they added to their products becomes permanent. They stop fighting the price and start panic hoarding. They issue corporate bonds just to buy silver. This institutional buying power is what breaks the final resistance. It grinds the price up day by day. 88, 92, 96, and then the magnet, $100. Why $100? Because humans love round numbers. $100 is the 4-minute mile. Once we cross it, the paradigm shifts globally. Silver is no longer cheap dulled, it is a premier monetary asset. At $100, the gold-to-silver ratio likely collapses to 40 to 1 or 30 to 1. This re-rates the entire asset class. So the roadmap is clear. Gamma squeeze drives us to $75. Public mania drives us to $85. Industrial panic drives us to $100. It will not be a straight line. There will be 20% corrections, there will be days of terror, but the destination is mathematically locked in by the deficit. This brings us to the most important question, the question nobody asks until it is too late. When do I sell? You have held for years. You watched it go to $65. If it goes to $100, do you sell? Here is my controversial answer. No, you do not sell silver for dollars. Why would you trade the scarcest asset on earth for a currency that is being printed into oblivion? If silver is $100, it means the dollar has collapsed. It means inflation is raging. Selling for cash is buying a burning ticket. So, how do you profit? You swap. You play the ratios. Strategy 1. The gold swap. When the gold-to-silver ratio drops below 30, meaning it takes 30 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold, you swap. You trade your volatile silver for stable gold. You lock in the purchasing power gains without going back to fiat currency. You effectively multiply your gold stack for free. Strategy 2. The asset swap. You trade silver for land. You trade silver for a rental property. You trade silver for a business. You move from defensive wealth to productive wealth. In 1980, you could swap roughly 800 ounces of silver for the average American home. Today, at $65, that ratio is still skewed, but at $100 or $150, the ratio comes back. When you can buy a house for a monster box of silver, that is when you exit. Not for numbers on a screen, but for tangible, productive assets. Do not get blinded by the dollar sign. $100 is just a measurement of the death of the dollar. The goal is purchasing power. We are living through history. Thursday, December 11th, 2025, the day the refineries halted, the day the supply chain broke, the day $65 became the floor. The nightmare scenario I described is not a fear tactic. It is the reality of a market that ran out of physical buffer. The 1.1 billion ounce deficit has come due. For those of you who prepared, for those of you who listened when we were shouting at $25, you are safe. You are your own central bank. You have the insurance policy that the rest of the world is desperately trying to buy. For those of you who are still on the sidelines, or those of you waiting for a pullback, I will say this one last time. The window is boarded up. You might find a few ounces here and there. You might get lucky at a local pawn shop. But the era of easy silver is over. We are in the era of unobtainium. Do not let the volatility shake you. Do not let the government headlines scare you. Do not let the paper price distract you from the physical reality. The banks have lost. The industry is panic buying, and the price is seeking its true level. Hold the line, protect your stack, and watch the show. This is the greatest wealth transfer in human history, and you are on the right side of it. Subscribe.